hope you're not tired of the Viamontian loyalist tasks aimed at newcomers to Sanamar. This time we're back for another one, and it's a doozy. We will be establishing trade contracts across Dareth in the name of Anton Seletzi. Welcome to the Abyss. It is I, Void Money, and this time we will, pass around trade contracts. But wait, there's more! Let's start with Anton Seletzi, who's hanging out in the courtyard at the Sanamar town gates. He's hanging out close to the bar. No, not that close. Don't worry, we won't be making a fool of ourselves. Too much. No, this time we're going straight to brass tacks when we speak to Anton Seletzi.
You seem to be a person that is out to see the world. Perhaps you could do me a favor. I want to establish a trade network between Hultberg, Yarrick, and Sushi. To do that, I need a brave and courageous soul, such as yourself, to make contact with the local merchants of those towns. Here, I prepared these letters inviting them to my trade network.
At this point, Anton gives us a parchment called trade contracts, as well as 3 trade proposals. One for Lubzaklan. Maybe I'll let him explain it.
This letter goes to Lubzaklan Al-Luk of Yarrak. This one to Konjoku Den of Shushi. And this last one to Renald the eldest of Hultberg. Return to me when you have received an answer, and I'll reward you handsomely. Not that I don't trust your memory, but here are the directions so you won't get lost.
And so, for the first time in this series, we will be journeying outside of the Halatian Isle. We intrepid explorers find ourselves gearing up, packing a few mugs of stout, and, well, that's all we need, really. But before we head off, remember to like this video if you're still here. And off to the island of Dareth we go. Our first stop, Yarrick. Yarrick is a beautiful seaside village bordering the inner sea to the west and otherwise surrounded by the expanse of the Amun Desert. To the south of town, along the road, you will come across the house of Lubzaklan Al-Luk. Good old Lubzy will provide you with a quest if you speak with him. We'll forgo that for now, saving it for another time. Instead, just hand him the trade proposal with his name on it. Bah, I've no time for this right now. Those pesky drudges have broken into my wine cellar and are drinking all my wine. Perhaps if you were to solve my problem, I'd reconsider signing a trade agreement with Anton. The drudges have taken over my wine cellar. In fact, no one even remembers it as Lubzaklan's cellar anymore. Those drudges have turned it into a right hovel. I'll tell you, you can find it just southeast of here. Bring back my Cove apple wine and we'll talk. And so, in order to even be considered for the trade proposal, we're gonna have to run Lubzy's little fetch quest. Following his rough directions, you'll pretty quickly see why the wine cellar became overrun. It's well into the Amun Desert, and beyond the ridge that separates civilized seaside beach town with lifeless expanse. Nevertheless, we have found the portal to the Drudge Hovel and make our way in, using the wine cellar key to open the first door. Luckily, it's a rather small dungeon. If you explore it, you'll eventually find a large pit with Lubzaklan's Cove apple wine and a chest with a glorious apple. Grab them both and head back to Lubzy's house. Give him the Cove apple wine, and he'll have a few words for you. You were only able to retrieve 1 bottle. It was my best batch of wine, too. Well, you certainly tried your best. And I'm sure those drudges will think twice before they steal from me again. I did some thinking while you were away, and I decided this Anton Seletzi might be onto something. So I have decided to join his network of merchants. Take this letter to him. With that, Lubzy hands us his trade agreement to return to Anton, along with 7,500 experience. You can also hand him the glorious apple. For an extra 200 pyreals, he'll say, "This is the most spectacular apple I've ever seen. I must have it. Perhaps I could grow a tree from this." Time for a botany lesson, folks. If you plant a good-tasting apple, the one thing you can be sure of is that the tree that grows from that apple will be nothing like the one you used to plant it. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. Anyway, to be honest, it's not really worth the 200 pyreals, and I'd rather keep it for its 50 stamina replenishment. Without any bonus experience, it just isn't really worth it. However, we're not out of the water yet. There are still 2 trade proposals to deliver. Our next stop will bring us to Hultberg to meet Renald the Eldest. Hultberg is a nice, quaint alluvian town, situated on a hill beside the River Prosper. It's sort of in a liminal area between major geographic features of Dareth, neither in the Great Plains, woods, or mountains. Over in Holtberg, Renaud is hanging out behind a building in the center of town. It's the building in the south across from the bar. You won't miss him when you see him because he's standing awkwardly alone and staring out into space. If we drop off the trade proposal to Renaud, he'll cut straight to the chase with what's bothering him.
I tell you what, I needs time to think of this. Instead of standing there like a dang fool, why don't you go off and fetch my da's old mug for me? I saw some drudges make off with it along with a bottle of apple cider. I hear they gone and holed up in a small cave south of here. Try looking around these coordinates. By the time you go and bring back me da's old mug, I'll have a reply ready for you.
Starting to see a pattern here? Head off in the direction of the coordinates. And instead of keeping your eyes peeled for a portal on the compass, you'll eventually come across a cave opening when you get to the coordinates Renaud fed us. Once you kill the drudges, you'll also see Renaud's old mug on the ground. The description of the mug humorously reads, "A battered old pewter mug, by the filthy condition it is in. This mug has never seen soap nor water in its lifetime. Etched into the side of it is the name Renaud. Return this mug to Renaud the eldest." I certainly hope he doesn't drink from this. In any case, after a short sprint back to town, we can drop off the mug with Renaud, and he'll exclaim,
Yeah, me da's old mug, you found it. Right, the answer then. You can go and tell this Ursuin-spawned dog, Anton, that Renaud the eldest says, no, I'll not be trading with no accursed Viamontian scum. Why? Well, 'cause they're blue.
You know, you'd think after coming to a distant, faraway land, unable to return to their homeland, and surrounded by so many creatures bent on their destruction, that the Asparians would be able to drop their petty squabbles and discriminations. Alluvians and Viamontians really don't get along, but you'd think the looming threat of Ulthoi on the mainland would be more concerning. In any case, he at least hands us a 15,000 Pyreal trade note, along with his trade refusal. Oh, and another 7,500 experience to boot. Before returning to Sanamar to give Anton the news, we have one more stop to make. This time, we will be heading to the show town of Shushi to meet with Gonjoku Den, the proprietor of Gonjoku's Goods. Shushi is a bustling walled town, and as a matter of fact, it was my main character's starting town back in 2000. You'll find Gonjoku outside of the walls on the west side of town. Continuing the pattern of the previous two meetings, slip him the last trade proposal. He'll predictably respond with another fetch quest.
A most sound idea, but can this Anton be trusted with such responsibility and power? I cannot as yet test this Anton, but since he has seen fit to place his trust in you, I shall test you in his stead. Travel east until you reach the banks of the Great River. Then travel south until you find the entrance to a mossy cave. Go there and bring me a sample of the mossy herb that grows within.
So tighten your bootlaces, and off to the mossy cave we go. If you follow his rough directions, you will come across the mossy cave portal at these coordinates. The cave is overrun with mossworts and rats. Not really the most hospitable sounding of dungeons, I know. Regardless, it's even shorter than the drudge hovel we went to earlier. And if you find yourself in the room with the exit portal, there is some mossy herb growing in the center of the room. Promptly leave, as there isn't anything else of worth in this dungeon. We can now return to Gonjoku to finish off this last fetch quest, dropping off the mossy herb to get a well-deserved prize. But first, Gonjoku Den says,
Most excellent. You are a courageous and honorable person. This will reflect well on Anton Seletzi. Return to Anton Seletzi and give him this letter. I accept his trade proposal. And this for you. It is a potion I made from the moss you retrieved. May your journey be swift and safe. Farewell.
And the reward for procuring Gonjoku Den's trade agreement is 7,500 experience and Gonjoku's mana infusion, which will cast Mana Giver if you drink it. Not bad, I guess. But now to drop off the responses to Anton Seletzi. We'll start by giving him the good news. Hand him Lubzy's trade agreement, and he'll respond simply with,
It seems I am in your debt.
and he rewards us with 7,500 experience. We then give him Gonjoku Den's trade agreement.
Good news indeed. Thank you for your help.
Along with his thanks, we'll be rewarded with another 7,500 experience. Now for the bad news, we hand him Renaud's refusal.
What? That old fool? I can't prove it. but I'm sure this is somehow your fault. Now I'll have to think of a way to smooth things over.
Despite the bad news, he'll give us another 7,500 experience and continue with his thanks for delivering all of the trade proposals.
Thanks for all your help. Here's something that'll help carry all your stuff in your future travels. What? You are expecting more? I must be getting soft. Here's a little extra for your troubles. Oh, and if you're looking for something to do, you might talk to Seneschal Dalmore. I hear he's looking for more experienced adventurers.
As promised, Anton rewards us with a trade note worth 25k and a pack. This quest ended up not being half bad. All in all, it netted us 45,000 experience of rewards and 40k in trade notes. Not to mention, if you picked up any drudge charms along the way, we can hand them in to the collector for another 1k experience and 200 pyreals. But with that, my friends, we must be off. There are only so many deeds one could do in the name of the Viamontians, and as such, we must take our rest. If you enjoyed this video, check out other AC lore videos from the playlist popping up on screen right now. Or if you find yourself wanting to jump into Dareth, click on the video link explaining how you can play Asheron's Call today. Also, liking and subscribing is extremely helpful, so please consider giving this video a thumbs up and this YouTuber a sub. Till the next time the portals call, my friend. Thanks, and so long.